Hello everyone, welcome to the Daily English Listening channel. This is a place where you can practice English listening every day with short, simple, and practical listening exercises. By spending just a few minutes each day, you can gradually improve your listening skills, vocabulary, and English reflexes. Now, let's start today's listening practice. My favorite hobby. Hello. My name is Anna. Today, I want to talk about my favorite hobby. My favorite hobby is reading books. Reading books is very interesting for me. I like reading books every day. Reading makes me happy. Reading helps me learn many new things. I started reading books when I was a small child. My mother bought many books for me. She read stories to me every night. I loved those stories very much. The stories were simple and beautiful. After some time, I learned to read by myself. Now reading books is my favorite hobby. I read books in the morning. I read books in the afternoon. Sometimes, I read books in the evening before I go to bed. I like many kinds of books. I like story books. I like picture books. I like books about animals. I like books about nature. I also like books about people and their lives. My favorite place to read books is my room. My room is quiet and comfortable. I sit on my chair and read my book. Sometimes I sit near the window and read. When I read near the window, I can see the sky and trees. The sunlight comes into my room. The light is warm and soft. It makes reading more pleasant. Sometimes I also read in the living room. My family watches television there. But when I read, I focus on my book. The story becomes my world. Sometimes I go to the library. The library is a wonderful place for reading. There are many books everywhere. The library is very quiet and peaceful. Many students come to the library to study. Some people read newspapers. Some people read novels. Everyone enjoys the quiet environment. When I walk between the shelves, I see hundreds of books. Some books are big and thick. Some books are small and thin. Every book has its own story. I like books with colorful pictures. Pictures help me understand the story better. Pictures make the story more lively. Sometimes I read books about animals. Animals are very interesting to me. They live in forests, oceans, and farms. My favorite animal is the dog. Dogs are friendly and loyal. They love their owners very much. Stories about dogs always touch my heart. Sometimes I read stories about cats. Cats are smart and playful. They like to explore their surroundings. I also enjoy reading stories about birds. Birds can fly in the sky. They travel to many places around the world. Sometimes I read books about adventures. Adventure stories are exciting. The characters travel to new places. They climb mountains. They cross rivers. They explore forests and deserts. Adventure stories make me feel excited. I imagine myself traveling with the characters. I feel like I am part of the story. I also like books about daily life. These books talk about school, family, and friends. The stories are simple and easy to understand. Many stories talk about friendship. Good friends help each other. They share happiness and sadness. Some stories talk about family love. Parents care for their children. Children respect their parents. These stories teach important lessons. They teach kindness, honesty, and respect. Reading books helps me relax. When I read a good story, I forget about my worries. My mind becomes calm and peaceful. Sometimes I feel tired after a long day. Reading a book helps me feel better. It is like a short vacation for my mind. Books can also make me laugh. Some stories are very funny. The characters do silly things. Other stories are emotional. They make me think about life. They help me understand people better. Reading books also improves my imagination. When I read a story, I imagine the scenes in my mind. I imagine forests full of green trees. I imagine blue oceans and high mountains. I imagine cities full of people and lights. My imagination becomes very active when I read. Reading books also helps me learn new words. This is very helpful for my English learning. When I read English books, I see many new words. At first, I do not understand them. So I use a dictionary. I look up the meaning of the words. Then I write them in my notebook. After that, I try to remember the words. I practice using them in sentences. Little by little, my vocabulary grows. Reading helps me improve my English. Sometimes I read slowly. Sometimes I read again to understand better. Practice makes reading easier. Now I feel more confident when reading English books. My friends also like reading books. Sometimes we talk about books together. We share our favorite stories. We recommend good books to each other. One of my friends loves mystery stories. She likes stories about detectives and puzzles. These stories are interesting because they make readers think. The reader tries to solve the mystery. Another friend likes science books. He likes learning about space and planets. He often reads about the moon and the stars. He dreams about becoming an astronaut. Sometimes we visit the bookstore together. The bookstore has many beautiful books. We walk slowly between the shelves. We look at many book covers. Some covers are bright and colorful. Some covers are simple but elegant. When I find an interesting book, I feel excited. I want to read it immediately. I enjoy the smell of new books. It is a special smell. Many readers love that smell. At home, I have a small bookshelf. The bookshelf is next to my desk. It holds many of my favorite books. Some books are old. Some books are new. I organize my books carefully. I keep them clean and safe. I never tear the pages. I respect books because they give me knowledge. Books are like friends to me. They stay with me when I feel lonely. When I feel sad, reading makes me feel better. A good story can change my mood. Sometimes I read before sleeping. Reading helps me relax before bed. After reading for a while, I feel sleepy. Then I sleep peacefully. Reading is also a good way to spend free time. Some people play video games. Some people watch television for many hours. But I prefer reading books. Reading is quiet and meaningful. It helps me focus and think. Sometimes I read for 30 minutes. Sometimes I read for 1 hour. On weekends, I read longer. I can read for 2 or 3 hours. My parents are happy that I enjoy reading. They believe reading is a good habit. Sometimes they buy books for me as gifts. I feel very thankful. Receiving a new book always makes me happy. It feels like receiving a treasure. One of my favorite books is about a small dog and his adventure. The dog travels with his friends. They help many people along the way. The story is simple, but very meaningful. Another book I love is about nature. It shows pictures of mountains and forests. It teaches me about animals and plants. It also teaches me to protect nature. Reading also helps me learn about different cultures. Some books talk about life in other countries. I learn about their food, traditions, and festivals. This makes the world more interesting. Books help us understand people from different places. They connect people around the world. There are millions of books in the world. Every book has a unique story. Some books are funny. Some books are serious. Some books are educational. Everyone can find a book they like. Books are for people of all ages. Some people like sports as a hobby. Some people enjoy music or painting. But for me, reading books is the best hobby. It brings knowledge and joy. Reading books makes my life richer. It helps me grow as a person. Every book teaches me something new. Every story opens a new door. That is why reading books is my favorite hobby. I hope I will read books for the rest of my life. Books will always be an important part of my life. They will always be my good friends.